Good morning and happy Valentine's Day. I'm about a month late for that. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Hey, sorry JTInTheRaw is late today. The reason being I couldn't get any internet. Bizarre. I'm down on the northern beaches of Sydney. Last week in LA, this week down in the northern beaches of Sydney, and I had no internet. So I really apologise for that I'm a few minutes late, probably missed a few people. So today's show is show 37. And, generally I don't wear these, but I just thought because I'm in the suburbs of Sydney, people might get a little bit weird about who I am and what I'm doing. So, anyway, good morning. Morning, Chantal. How are you this morning? Hope you had a good CrossFit workout. Morning, GP. Good morning. So this morning what I thought I would do is just go over some more business insights that I got from IHRSA, and I'm also at a conference down here at Manly called Superfast Business. So I'm going to share all of that sort of stuff for you. Will Miller, stop talking to me, stop watching me, mate. Get ready for the season. Morning, Eugene. Okay, so show 37, here we go. I got 7 points I think that I pulled out of IHRSA that I'm going to share with you today. Number one comes from a guy called Johnny Cupcakes. Yeah, I'd never heard of him before, and what a weird ass name that is. But this guy was a keynote speaker at IHRSA and quite phenomenal. Morning, Hillary. Morning, Jace Lawrence. So what he does, his job is purely selling T-shirts. Yep, just T-shirts. Pop-up stores, T-shirts. T-shirts, T-shirts. That's all it is. But when he sells them and people buy them online, he will randomly put in little gifts. He will randomly write handwritten notes to the people that buy these T-shirts. And the reason he does this is he wants people to talk about their experience with Johnny Cupcakes. Wow, that's pretty cool. What he wants, he understands it's just a T-shirt, so what he wants to do is build a whole experience around buying a T-shirt. In fact, he said this, let me quote you. He says, every time someone purchases something, I want them to feel it's their birthday. Wow, what a profound statement for us in any business. Whenever somebody buys something from us, we want them to feel like it's their birthday. Great insight, really powerful. Morning was. Okay, number two, Martin Lindstrom. Martin Lindstrom wrote the book Biology. He's from Denmark. He also did a keynote, and he really talked about a couple of different things. He gave two examples of CEOs getting in the trenches to really understand what their customers go through. He talked about the CEO of IKEA. Now, my Swedish is very poor, but it's Ingvar Kamprad, something like that. And what Ingvar does at IKEA is he stands at the checkout and he checks people out as they're making their purchases from IKEA. Why? Because he says, when I look in their eyes, I can tell what sort of experience they've just had at my store. And that tells me so much about our business and what we need to do. Boom, what a great idea. Then the second CEO he talked about, who's passed away now, and that's Michelle Ferrero. Michelle Ferrero was the CEO of Ferrero Rocher's. What an ape job that would be. That would be insane, making Ferrero Rocher's. Oh, couldn't think of anything better. But what he did was he and Lindstrom got on their hands and knees and they crawled through the Ferrero Rocher chocolate shops. And they worked out that not a single shelf was in range of a 6-year-old. And who do you think one of their markets are? 6-year-olds. 6-year-olds who want to buy chocolate with their mum and dad. So that changed the level of all their shelving in all their shops so that kids would be able to reach the chocolate. Wow, what an amazing concept. Getting in the trenches of your customers. I remember of your business. I remember when I had my club, I would occasionally work on the front desk, occasionally because I was so bad at it, but it would give me great insight into not only what my members were going through, but how tough a job working on the front desk is. Great insight. Number three, Steve Jobs' advice to Disney. Steve Jobs, the guru of Apple, says to Disney, what would you like the Disney stores to say to the consumer as they enter it? What would you like the Disney store to say as the consumer enters it? Wow, how amazing is that statement? So what is the first 30 seconds like when people, new people, old people, walk into your business? What's that first 30 seconds like? What does the voice of your business say to that new consumer or your current consumer? I want to give you an example. When we were in Santa Monica a week ago, Chantel from the Fitness Business Podcast, who I think may be still watching now, morning Alyssa, morning Susan, morning Dick Colreevy. We walked into a studio which is called Cyclethetic. Cyclethetic? I think that's how you say it. Well, yeah, we won't tell you what we named it. But between walking into that front door and the front desk, the experience was poor. The front desk experience was poor. And Chantel went off and did a spin class, and I went off and did a circuit class, and we came back later, and I said, so how was your spin class? She said, it was terrible. It was really bad. And she said, I think my mind was made up before I'd even got into the spin class that it was going to be bad. That's what I thought. So there's a classic example of that business having a voice creating an experience before we'd even had the exercise experience. So perhaps go back and have a look at your business and say, okay, what's the voice of the business say when somebody walks in for the first time? Okay, point number four. There are three types of content consumers, the way consumers, read content. Three types of ways they read content. So this is your blog posts. This is watching your videos. These are your Facebook posts. There are three types. There are skimmers. Woo! There are swimmers. And there are divers. So depending upon your clientele, depending upon who you're trying to attract, whether you want swimmers, whether you want divers, or whether you want skimmers, this will impact the layout, it'll impact the info, and it'll also impact your strategy for broadcasting this type of medium. Okay, so go back and look at your content. For me, I'm now understanding that there are skimmers. So in my blog posts, I'm now putting lots of bullet points so people can skim through them, get the bullet points, boom, move on. If they're a swimmer, they can get some more information. Morning, Casper. How are you doing? Okay, number 4. Stop focusing on your slogan, your tagline, or your mission statement. That shit is now out of date. The consumer is now saying, I don't care what your slogan is. I don't care what your brand name, what your tagline is, or what your mission statement is. What I care about is your brand promise. What I care about is your brand promise. I.e., if I buy from you, what will I get from you? If I buy from you, what will I get from you? That is the brand promise. So my suggestion is go back and start working on your brand promise. Start articulating, if I become a client of yours or a member of yours, what do I receive? What do I actually get? Then the next step is to drill down and say, okay, what are the actions my staff members or my team members need to deliver in order for that brand promise to happen? Wow, good shit, eh? Okay, number 6. The brand blueprint, spark, promise, story, voice, and visuals. You need to be clearly explaining in a document so that if you're working in your social media field or you're working in your marketing field or your service field, you need to be able to understand and be able to articulate so that somebody else can read this, what the spark of your brand is, what the brand promise that I just talked about, what the story behind your brand is. People dig stories. They love to know where you've come from as a business and as a brand. The voice, what sort of voice are you going to have, and visuals. You need photos, you need images to really explain what your business does, who your business is, and the personality behind the business. Number 7 insight. These are some statistics I want to read to you. 70% of marketers believe that we should invest in experiences as they are more effective than marketing and communications. 70% of marketers believe we need to be investing in our experience for our customer when they come through the door rather than investing in our marketing communications. 80% of consumers stop using a brand after one bad experience. They stop using your brand after one bad experience. And then 72% of those people tell at least one friend or family to stop using you. That is bad marketing for us. So let's go back. Let's really focus on the experience that we're delivering for our customers, our members, our clients, whoever we deal with, all our stakeholders. Let's go back and analyze that. And one of the statements that this guy Nick said, which was really powerful, was walk a mile in your customer's shoes. Walk a mile in your customer's shoes. That's really powerful. And I think sometimes in business we forget what our customer goes through. So let's perhaps look at that. All right, they were just 7 points. Thank you guys. I think Woz and Susan and a couple of others have already tagged people in the comments below who they think may get some value out of this JT in the Raw Show 37. So please feel free to tag anyone in the comments who you think would get value out of this. You'll also see on the Active Management website, activemgmt.com.au, I'm sharing, I've got some guest bloggers almost every day for the next 10 days that are going to be posting their insights from IHRSA. So these are just my insights. You can jump onto our website and you'll be able to read lots of insights from fitness people around how to improve your fitness business based on the insights they got from attending IHRSA in the US. Okay, here's a couple of tips that I've got from Superfast Business. This is really interesting. Number one here, marketing. We need to market in multi-channels on multi-devices. We need to understand that people are using different channels, YouTube, Google, Facebook, Instagram, as well as still some hard copy stuff. We need to understand that they're multi-channels. We also need to understand multi-devices. They're looking at it on a mobile, they're looking at it on an iPad, they're now also still looking at it on a desktop. So in our marketing, we need to understand that we need to get that message across in each of those mediums, every channel. Okay, number two, you can now remarket and retarget on Google just like Facebook. Just like Facebook, where you can upload your client database into Facebook and then be able to retarget and remarket them, you can now upload your database into Google so that you can retarget and remarket in Google. I never knew that until yesterday. That is some powerful shit that you can do. So you can do specific target marketing in Google to your clients for higher yield sales and secondary spend, or to brand new prospects. Great, love it. Morning Jared Lawrence, morning Scotty G, morning Matty Fletcher. Okay, number three, send an email to prospects with the simplest of offers. Send an email to prospects with the simplest of offers. I saw an example yesterday where someone emailed a prospect that said, if you would like $10,000 in new sales in the next 30 days, reply to this email by saying yes. That was it. And he made like $40,000 worth of sales in 48 hours. That got me thinking, you know, if you would like to lose 10 kilos, if you're a gym, if you'd like to lose 10 kilos in the next 10 weeks, reply to this email with a yes. How cool is that? Simple. I'm guilty of overcomplicating things. What this guy said yesterday is often the easiest way in marketing is to subtract all the hard stuff and just keep it simple. Loved it. Number four, speak the language of your market. Speak the language of your market. They gave an example which I found quite fascinating because it didn't make any sense to me. I mean, I kind of get it in a way, but when they went into this, it made perfect sense. They gave an example of one business who's marketing in the US, and it's an orchid business. You know, those little beautiful organic, beautiful plants, orchids. And what they say is in their Google ad, they said, 10 steps to care for your orchid. And that's the language that they used in the US, because that's the market that people use, the language that they use in the US. But in Australia and New Zealand, they say 10 steps to looking after your orchid. Just those two words, care for and look after, had a massive impact on the language and the localization of our marketing. I kind of went, wow, that is really interesting. So we really need to, that was a mozzie that I just got. We really need to truly understand the language that our marketers use. And so he talked about using a word cloud to help you. So you might want to check out a website called wordclouds.com. Wordclouds.com to help you build the language that your consumers are using. Okay, number five. We can categorize prospects into three different areas. They can be in a journey, they could be about having a challenge, or it could be a situation. So we need to understand what process or where our consumer is at, our prospect is at. Are they going through a journey to lose weight or a journey to buy a product? That was a pretty big truck. Have they got a challenge in their life, or are they in a situation? And when we understand where they're at in their life, that helps us write our marketing piece and the message that we're trying to convey. Awesome. Okay, nearly done, guys. No shout outs today. This is just an action-packed show. Please, if you think people could get any value that you work with or that you know, please, I'd love you to tag them in the comments below, and I'll be very grateful for that. Okay, finally, there are 4 types of buyers. There's the spontaneous buyer. This is the person that makes a very quick decision. A spontaneous buyer who makes a very quick decision. Would you like to join this gym? Yes, I would. Great, thank you. There's number 2, which is a methodical buyer. These are the people that ask lots of questions and want to know lots of information. Number 3 is a humanistic buyer. This type of buyer loves stories. They want to read case studies. They want to see your social proof, your testimonials. If you missed the show where I talked about social proof, just put in the comments below social proof, and I'll send you the link to watch the show where I go through a whole show talking about social proof and how important it is. And number 4 is the competitive buyer. The competitive buyer is the person that waits to the final minute or the final second to be able to buy. You know, if there's an early bird offer, they'll buy the early bird offer like 2 minutes before it expires. So those again, spontaneous buyer, methodical buyer, humanistic buyer, and of course a competitive buyer. So guys, that's it for today. JT in the Raw, show 37. Morning Lara, morning Andrew. How are you, mate? Andrew, that looked like a pretty insane workout you had up in Newcastle the other day. So no shout outs today. There are plenty that'll come next week. Again, as I say, if you're interested in what happened at IHRSA, check out activemanagement.com.au, because we're going to be posting some guest blogs from people that attended the show and their insights, so not just mine. But I am not finishing today without quote of the week, without my quote of the week. All right, so here it is. Bucketing, be careful how you say this quote. Bucketing your leads and customers are the future. The future is now. That's deep. Consider what I just said. Consider everything in the show that I've talked about. The types of buyers. Consider, I'm just going to hit that. Consider the marketing that I talked about. Consider the segmentation that I talk about, and you'll understand exactly this quote of the week. Bucketing your leads and your customers are the future. The future is here. Hey, thanks for tuning in to JT in the Raw, show 37. I'm heading down to Manly now for day 2 of Superfast Business. Next Friday, I'm not sure where I am next. Next Friday I'm in Melbourne. Next Friday in Melbourne, working with an Anytime Fitness group of personal trainers. So I'll be coming to you live from Melbourne. Hope you tune in. We're on every Friday at 8 o'clock, where I just chew the thin about business. Some things are going to be relevant to the fitness industry. Some will be relevant to business, any sort of business. So really appreciate you tuning in today. As I said, if you know anybody that you think will get value, just pop them in the comments below. And thanks for tuning in today. Have an awesome weekend. If you're in Sydney, drive carefully, be safe, and have a good one, everyone. See ya. JT signing out.